and welcome to GameStack. This episode, we're talking about some Black Sheep games.
Yeah, just like a lot of YouTube channels out there that have Black Sheeps in them, there's a lot of game series that have Black Sheeps in them.
Yeah, for example, Castlevania 2 is often seen as the Black Sheep of that series, or the Legend of Zelda 2, is often seen as the Black Sheep of that one, but they're not necessarily bad games. Some games, though, deserve their Black Sheep status. So, without further ado, let's just get into it. Final Fantasy is a fairly popular series of role-playing games. A few of you may have even heard of it as it has dozens of fans. But one of the biggest black sheep in the entire series goes to Final Fantasy Mystic Quest on the Super Nintendo. This 1992 release came between Final Fantasy II and III in North America. It was basically intended to be an RPG for beginners to kind of wean people into the genre. And honestly, that's just a good way of saying it's very bare bones. And it's definitely just that. It doesn't offer the depth of the regular mainline Final Fantasy games from that period. Your goal is to recover 4 different crystals or something like that. Nothing exciting, really. But of course, you'll accomplish other tasks and meet lots of other people on your way. You can freely wander around towns like in most RPGs, but you can't do this on the overworld. Instead, you can go to certain points on the map once they've been discovered or unlocked, and it's all fairly linear. The battles here are pretty straightforward, and there's not much here that's special about them, either good or bad. Your characters have life bars, which is cool, but that means it takes up a lot of screen real estate that numbers alone wouldn't. As a result, you can only have 2 people in your party at any given time, and they come and go a lot. In fact, it's kind of funny how people will join your quest after you only exchange 2 sentences with them. I guess there's no such thing as stranger danger in this world. There aren't any random battles here. You can see all of the enemies on the map. However, they're placed in a way where you have no choice but to fight the large majority of them, and it's probably a good idea to try and kill them all just for the experience and the money. On the overworld map, there are dedicated battlefields. These each have 10 different battles that you can engage in, and this is the best way to grind your character's levels up since there are otherwise no battles on the overworld map. In the towns, there aren't the regular shops that you can buy stuff from like in most RPGs. Sometimes there will be someone selling this or that, but don't be looking to upgrade your weapons and armor in each new town. You'll find a lot of it in the dungeons, or it'll be given to you by other characters. One thing you won't find a lot of in this one is story. It's there, but it's just really watered down. You won't get attached to any of the characters that join you. You won't even get attached to your own character. The graphics are also pretty sparse, but honestly, not really in a bad way. There are some things that make me wonder how much ability Square's programmers had though. Like when your dude walks through a cave, he just disappears and reappears instead of going into and out of the cave. Seems kinda cheap and lazy, or maybe they just didn't know how to do that effect. I mean, come on, it can't be that hard. The enemies don't really have much in the way of animation, and they look fairly basic in design. Even everyone's attacks look extremely simple. And of course, none of this should be surprising since it's only a 4 megabit game, which is the same size as Mystic Defender on the Genesis. See, they even weigh the same. That's how you can tell. I do like how most enemies have a weakened state once you hack away at them though. The bosses have more of these weakened states, which is nice since they don't have life bars or hit points that you can see. The music for the most part is nice, and I never got tired of it. It sounds exactly like a typical Super Nintendo RPG with its smooth, weepy strings and a touch of reverb. The music was done by Ryuji Sasai, and it doesn't have any of the familiar Final Fantasy tunes like when you win a battle or whatnot. My biggest complaint about the game would probably be the sheer number of status effects that always seem to happen. I don't like these in any RPG, and I'm not sure why the creators of such games insist on including them. But man, they really love them here. So maybe it's not up to par with the other Final Fantasy games, but I've got to admit, it's way better than a lot of RPGs on the Genesis like Trazia and Sorcerer's Kingdom. Bleh. This one will take you maybe 15 or 16 hours to complete, which is perfectly fine for me. I'd actually recommend playing through it even though it kind of guides you along the way and it doesn't give you as much freedom as it could. And it does get a little boring and repetitive sometimes. But I don't regret spending time with it, and neither should you.
Let's take a look at the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series. I'm only going to talk about Pro Skater and not the other games like Ride or Underground. When the first game came out in 1999, I was beyond excited but also a little scared, feeling like it might just be some sort of shovelware or something. My fears weren't necessary, and as you know, it's an amazing game. Everything about it was perfect. You've got a laundry list of things to complete. My adrenaline often ran high thinking of what I needed to do, and it was always so fun going down to the wire to get at least one more trick in before time ran out. The music was great, and you could customize it so you'd only hear the songs that you liked. Your skater controlled really well, and being able to do tons of tricks that you could only dream of doing in real life was very cool. The series continued over the years, and each release a little something was added to make the gameplay more fun. Starting in Part 2, you could link tricks by doing a manual between ramps or grinds, which would really make your points go through the roof. It had the usual list of tasks and a whole new set of levels to conquer, and the soundtrack was still really good. Pro Skater 3 came out and I was ready for more, and I got what I wanted. Just like a good sequel, they give you more of the same awesome gameplay with new features. New levels and new music really kept me interested. You'd think I would have gotten sick of it by then, but it was the opposite and I was completely content. Pro Skater 4 came out, and for the first time they really changed things up. Instead of each session being timed, you now skated around in an open world. You could just skate and have fun doing tricks, and when you're ready to complete a task, you just stop at one of the many people around the level. From here, you do a lot of the same things you've done in previous games, and you know what? It all worked out fine, and the game was still really fun. Then 13 long years passed with no sequel to Pro Skater 4. And in 2015, the black sheep of the series, Pro Skater 5, came out, and people weren't happy. I was ready for more, but all the negative reviews made me not want to buy it. To be honest, I didn't get it until this episode, and this is the first time I've played the game. I've put a few hours in it, and I can definitely see the complaints people are making. Firstly, for a game of this generation, it graphically isn't impressive. Everything seems so bland. The areas that you skate in kinda look nice, but that's it. The controls are all there, but something new has been added that will really screw you up if you're into getting combos. They added a slam button that sadly uses the same button for grinding. For example, if you're grinding on something and if you try to go for a manual, you just slam down ending your combo. It can get annoying, and it won't take long for you to realize that this was a mistake. Another thing that I found annoying is that you can't customize your song list, so you're stuck with whatever is playing. A lot of the music in the game is decent, but there's also a lot of it that I don't want to listen to. So while the game does have some issues, in the end it's still actually very playable. I'm of the opinion that it's not as bad as a lot of the reviews would have you believe. I got a physical copy for under $20 and it's definitely worth that.
So Dave, you're telling me that Tony Hawk 5 is not the worst thing on the planet?
It is not the worst thing on the planet. I actually found some actual enjoyment in it, and who knows, maybe it's because I went into it thinking that it's gonna be the worst thing on the planet, but actually had some fun playing it, so I don't know.
Well, we've got some more games to check out. Let's get back to it. Okay, we're all pretty much familiar with what Resident Evil is, right? Kinda slow, super creepy, trudging zombies, limited ammo, you never know if a zombie is nearby, yeah, stuff like that. Like I've said before, this is the series that brought survival horror to the mainstream. Well, one game most people shun as the black sheep would be Resident Evil 6, which is available on all the current and last generation platforms. That is, as long as it's a platform not made by Nintendo. I'm playing it here on the PlayStation 4. Starting with Resident Evil 4, the series started to take a more action-oriented form and become less and less about horror. Each subsequent game got more and more action-y, with Resident Evil 6 here being the most outrageous example. And hey, what they say is absolutely true. This is the Resident Evil game that's least like Resident Evil. Still, I've gotta say that it's actually not bad. You can choose to play as one of 4 people through different campaigns, which is cool. I chose Leon first because he kicked ass in Resident Evil 4, and I like that game. The first thing you're going to notice is that this one is pretty much all out action. And the further you get, the more non-stop the action becomes. No more creeping around a hallway with 2 bullets left hoping there isn't a zombie nearby. Now you've got hundreds of zombies and you'll have no difficulty finding ammunition for your various guns. And they keep coming and coming. It can be absolutely insane. Sure, sometimes you'll be able to take a breather to flick a switch or open a door, but it won't be more than a few seconds before the zombies are after you again. I mean, they really want you dead. Like Resident Evil 5 before it, this one forces a co-op mode on you. It's meant to be played by 2 players simultaneously, which is of course what Resident Evil has always been about. You can still play it alone and offline, however. The second character will help you shoot zombies and open doors and things of that nature. Some doors you're perfectly fine to open all by yourself because you're a big boy, but not all of them for some reason. And what is it with game designers these days needing another character to help you open doors and to get to certain places? Ever since the first Uncharted came out, games have been doing this. I think Gears of War may have done this too, but I never really got into that one. Regardless, it's getting old, and it doesn't make the games more entertaining in any way. It only works in Uncharted because that one's largely character-driven. However, I've got to say that the forced co-op isn't quite as annoying as it was in Resident Evil 5. I mean, you don't need to keep transferring items back and forth to your character and keep them alive. There are your various Resident Evil staples like herbs and combining items and whatnot. Another thing that every modern game seems to do is have someone on the radio talking to you from time to time, giving you advice and direction.
Get to the security gate. It'll lead you off the campus.
That's what's great about games on the Sega Genesis. They didn't have a radio person talking to you throughout your adventure. Mystic Defender would have been ruined by this feature.
Try sitting on a limb and using your fire magic to defeat this enemy. It's your only hope for getting out of here alive. Oh no, the enemy's closing in on my location. I need you to hurry and come help me. Help me, Mystic Defender, help me. Did you try using the fire magic?
I will not miss the day when the all-seeing radio person in video games goes away, if that day actually ever comes. Even though the action is intense and virtually non-stop, it's still kind of fun, if a little annoying and tiresome at times. In fact, it has some really cool and weird monster designs, and new ones keep popping up throughout the game. But the thing is that it's absolutely not Resident Evil, and I can see why survival horror fans were kind of getting sick of this treatment. Capcom listened and went back to being about survival horror with Resident Evil 7. Let's hope they keep that up. Thankfully, this one can be had brand new for super cheap these days, and it's worth the $20 or so that you'll pay. Pick it up if you like what you see. It's a good third-person action game.
Look out for scouts!
Remember the self-titled Wii games that Nintendo released for the hugely popular Wii game system? The games that were made to show off the capabilities of the Wii remote and balance board. Anyway, there were a handful of them, and for the most part they held quite a bit of entertainment value. Like Wii Play, for example. This title had 9 games that were super easy to play, and most of them were actually fun. Billiards let you play a game of 9-ball. Tanks let you battle it out with your tank against your friends, or you could go through waves of AI tanks. Shooting Range was cool and had little nods to the original Duck Hunt game, which really made me feel nostalgic. Or how about Wii Party? This game is basically Mario Party without the Mario universe and just Mii characters. Compete with your friends or just against the AI in a bunch of mini-games. Wii Fit Plus is a title that uses the balance board and the Wii remote. This title was fun for you and your mom. Moms liked it because it had yoga training. You know, that's good and all, but I'm not that flexible. It's good for you because it has a ton of other balance games that are actually really fun to play. The obstacle course is one of my favorites. It has you avoiding getting knocked off a floating platform by swinging balls and logs that come right down the middle of your platform. Using the balance board to run and jump is interesting, but it's pretty darn accurate as your character responds quickly to when you start and stop. Another favorite is the bird's bullseye. In this one, you're in a chicken suit flapping your wings and landing on platforms for time and points. Or the ski jump, which really tests your balance. You'll have to trust me when I say that these games are way more fun than you'd think. The best title in the series is Wii Sports Resort. This includes all of the games from the system pack in Wii Sports, plus a bunch of new games that are really fun to play. I've spent many hours alone and with friends playing a lot of the games on this disc. Like archery, where you try and hit the bullseye on a target that gets harder to hit as the game goes on. Or wakeboarding, where you jump the wake and try to land tricks to rack up points. And of course, who could forget about bowling? The game that single-handedly got senior citizens in nursing homes to play one of them newfangled video games. It was also a hit in my house. Then there's air sports, where you fly an airplane. This made me want a new Pilot Wings game so bad. And then there's the black sheep of the Wii games. Yes, it's Wii Music, and it's the black sheep for good reason. In this game, you get to play instruments and even conduct an orchestra. Well, that's what they want you to feel like you're doing. You can play various instruments like the saxophone by holding the Wii remote up by your mouth and hitting the 2 buttons to make a saxophone noise. You don't even get to pick what notes you play. All you're doing is hitting the buttons to the beat of the music and it generates the saxophone sounds for you. Same goes for all instruments that you play. All you're doing is going through the motions of either pushing buttons or waving the remote and nunchuck around to simulate playing an instrument over which you have no control over what notes are playing. Conducting an orchestra is just as lame. You wave your baton around like an idiot trying to keep the tempo of a piece of music. Honestly, I found this to be very difficult since the Wii remote isn't as responsive as it should be. It didn't matter though, since you're just moving your hand up and down while you're watching ugly Mii characters playing instruments. I guess it was slightly amusing seeing my zombie Miis play the violin, and that's all the enjoyment I was able to get out of this title. There's absolutely no depth to this game, and I can't imagine anyone having fun with it since you're actually not doing anything. I'm so very lucky that I bought this game for $1 at a garage sale because that's about as much enjoyment as I was able to get. $1 worth.
Jeez, that Wii music looks stupid.
It is stupid. There's nothing else to say about it. It's just plain stupid. But on the other side, that Resident Evil 6 actually looks pretty darn fun. I mean, I like straight-up action games, and that might be my cup of tea.
Yeah, but Wii music is just stupid. Leave it to Nintendo.
Leave it to Nintendo.
Let's finish this up. Of course, when it comes to Sega RPGs, the Phantasy Star series is one of the very few available. It's a great series that did a nice job merging science fiction and fantasy, whereas most other RPGs have a generic fantasy-only setting. But Phantasy Star 3 was released only a year after Part 2 came out. Bye-bye science fiction, hello generic fantasy setting. In fact, I wouldn't blame you if you believe that this started development as a different game entirely and was never intended to be a Phantasy Star game. I mean, just look at it. The style is completely different. No references are made to the Algol star system which the other games take place in. Well, not at the beginning anyway. We have a new composer and a completely new music style which is mostly very somber. We also have lots of new faces who worked on the game. This makes the game feel like it doesn't belong at all in the series and is constantly shunned as a bad game. I disagree with it being bad though. In fact, I'd say it's quite good. First of all, it was made from the ground up as a Phantasy Star game, make no mistake about that. You start out as a prince who's about to get married, but then your would-be bride gets snatched away by the evildoers. You want to rescue her, but your dad puts you in the dungeon. Talk about tough love. Some hot chick breaks you out and you embark on your adventure, and your dad doesn't even seem to care. The random battles are silly but cool, or cool but silly. They're cool because they're usually super quick and as a result don't get as annoying as battles in other RPGs. They're easy to get the hang of and feel really smooth. What makes them silly though is the monsters themselves. Their designs range from typical to outright laughable. But again, they made this entire game in a year, so they were just cranking them out left and right with little time for refinement. Anyway, as you're on your adventure, the girl who busted you out of the dungeon starts to tickle your fancy. Oh yeah, you go, Lena. You wouldn't really know it through the game's dialogue though, as the characters don't talk much with each other during gameplay. But once you rescue your bride, you're suddenly presented with a choice. Marry her, or marry Lena who busted you out so you guys could get it on. The choice is up to you. Depending on whom you choose, you'll spawn a different kid. The game resumes after that kid has grown up and is ready to go on his own adventures. And of course he does the similar thing, running around, gaining party members, and saving the land. Once his adventures are finished, he must also make a choice on whom to marry. So there's 3 different generations that you play through, 7 different scenarios, and 4 different endings. That's pretty ambitious for an early 16-bit RPG. As the game advances, you will start to encounter various science fiction-y stuff and eventually see how it all ties in with the rest of the series. Once I saw how all this connected, I really started to develop a soft spot for this one. That doesn't mean I forgive it of all of its issues, but it is still a cool idea. Speaking of issues, one of them is the graphics. They're pretty bland and there isn't much variety in the overworld, dungeons, and towns at all. It really could have looked better, but I think perhaps this game was just a bit too ambitious for its memory size and also its development time. The music is interesting. It starts out kind of somber and lonely as you wander around the overworld by yourself. But each time a new member is added to your party, a new instrument is added to the overworld music. It gradually gets more and more triumphant, and I thought this was a nice touch. And of course, since it's a retro game, it doesn't have a chatty radio buddy.
Come in, Reese. Buying a knife will help you defeat enemies, and you can have up to 2 knives equipped at the same time. Oh no! You'll need to defeat these enemies to move on. You have several different options at your disposal that you can choose from to deal with this situation. First, try choosing the one in the upper left. It's time to get hitched. Who's it gonna be? The anime chick with the blonde hair or the anime chick with the neon green hair? Choose carefully. The land is at stake.
Now, I haven't played through all 7 possible branches, and I likely won't, but seriously, it's worth playing through at least 1 or 2. The rushed development perhaps made it less than it was intended to be, but it's still worth a playthrough.
Bionic Commando was one of those games back in the day that I really tried to like but ultimately didn't for one reason. Your character couldn't jump and that really pissed me off. Over time I've actually come to like the game and have fun with it when I play it. Instead of a jump button, you have a grapple gun that you attach to ledges. You can swing from these and cross large gaps, or you can use it to pull yourself up to a higher platform. You can even collect dropped items with it. You move from one level to the next via an overhead map, and at times you'll run into enemies that you have to battle it out before you can move on. These battles are cool since they go to an overhead run and gun gameplay which switches it up nicely from the side-scrolling levels. Bionic Commando originally started as an arcade game. It's quite different from the NES version, and we've covered those differences in a previous episode. But Bionic Commando also got a release on the Game Boy. The storyline is the same, but they changed up the graphics a bit and made it look a little bit more futuristic. Also, the overhead run and gun missions have been changed to side-scrolling levels. The Game Boy Color also got Bionic Commando Elite Forces that was actually developed by Nintendo themselves. It turned out fun and controls very closely to the original games with some new features like a sniper rifle. There was even a few games for the PS3 and Xbox 360 called Bionic Commando Rearmed. The first one was a remake of the original, which of course retained the same style of play. These were really well received and pretty darned fun. However, in 2009, Capcom collaborated with Grimm and released the Black Sheep in the series, a new game just titled Bionic Commando. It's supposed to be a sequel to the NES game. They ditched the side-scrolling 2D format and went with a 3D third-person adventure. At first glance, you'd think the game's going to be awesome, and having a grappling hook in a 3D environment should work really well. Well, it kinda does, and it kinda doesn't. The areas are all set up for you to use the grapple gun and swing your way across each level, grappling from one point to the next. It's pretty tough to get the hang of when you need to release your hold so you have the momentum to make it to the next grapple point. When you're not grappling, you're running around shooting at enemies. Speaking of running, the momentum thing comes into my mind again. Your character just feels like he has none. It's almost like when you're dreaming that you're running from somebody but you can't go very fast even though you're really trying. Almost like you're stuck in the mud all the time. So your grappling arm is cool for swinging on stuff, and it can be used on other things also, but only when the game lets you. Like you can pull large objects out of your way so you can advance. This is great, but why can't you do this all the time and grab stuff all around you whenever you want? That's how it should have been done, especially when fighting large enemies. Why can't I use the grapple arm to rip their shields off of them so I can shoot them? It's annoying and it's a hugely missed opportunity. One more annoying thing about your character is his tood. He says a lot of stupid things when he shoots at enemies that just aren't funny at all.
Chew on that!
He has an awful personality and he's just not very likable.
Nailed ya!
Instead of trying to make him all pissed off, I wish they would have just made him say nothing, like the original game. It's better that way.
I'll prepare a file on it. You'll have it shortly.
Next!
This game had so much potential, but it lacked in way too many areas to make it an awesome game. Is it still playable? I think it is, and I did have a little fun here and there, but just don't expect an amazing experience. Hey, but at least he can jump now.
Enemy snipers. You better move fast, Spencer. They might not look it, but those snipers could take you down double time. Look for their laser sights and stay out of harm's way.
Alright, I think the 2009 Bionic Commando is perhaps just a little bit more fun than maybe you're letting on, but you're right, it absolutely is the black sheep of the series.
It really is, and who knows, maybe if I play more it'll grow onto me, I don't know, we'll see.
But I really like his personality.
Oh, that's a given. I mean, who doesn't like that kind of tood? Jeez.
In the meantime, let us know what you guys think are some good black sheep games, or maybe some games that deserve their black sheep status. Let us know, and thank you for watching GameSack.
Joe, I really liked your review of Phantasy Star 3, and I was wondering if I could borrow it because I haven't played it.
Sure, man, help yourself.
Okay, well, there's the H's, L, M, P, Phantasy Star 2 and Phantasy Star 4 are there, but there's no 3. Where's Phantasy Star 3?
It's up here, dumbass.
What's it doing up there? That's the B's.
Well, yeah, because I file it with my black sheep games. See, I've got games like Shining in the Darkness, Phantasy Star 3, Ernest Evans, and more.
Oh, that makes so much sense. So Biohazard Battle, that's a black sheep game.
No, that's just with the bees.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a little confused. How about Bubsy 2? That's definitely a black sheep game.
Actually, Dave, this is the only Bubsy game I own, and it was gifted to me by you.
Yeah, and I don't regret that.
Well, Dave, I know you kind of collect Genesis games a little bit now, so actually I've got a game for you, so here you go.
That's funny because I actually brought you a game as well. It's Bubsy 2. See ya.